Our next speaker is Mr. Jeff Quartermaine, Managing Director and CEO of Perseus Mining, one of the companies the Minister talked about that has recently acquired an interest in Sudan. Jeff has more than 35 years experience at board and senior management level with ASX and TSX listed resource companies involved in gold and base metals exploration, development and mining, both in Australia and several developing countries, including Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, PNG, Philippines, Chile, and as we mentioned, Sudan. He holds both postgraduate business management and undergraduate engineering qualifications and is a fellow of the Australian Society of CPAs. Jeff, the floor is yours.
Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to this event. It is indeed a real honour to be invited to speak today, particularly since I think, if my memory serves me correctly, this is the first occasion at which the Sudanese government has been represented at Africa Down Under, and so it is a particularly auspicious occasion, and having heard from the Minister now, I'd like to share with you some thoughts about Perseus's journey to Sudan. Now, if I do my usual thing by giving you a few cautionary statements along the way that I'm sure you'll all read very carefully. But look, what I'd like to do this morning in terms of talking about our journey, just firstly to put it into perspective, I'd like to talk a little bit about Perseus Mining itself to familiarise those who don't know the company with a little bit about us. I'll then speak about Sudan and in particular the Block 14 project that we are embarking upon. I'll then speak about creating value for all of our stakeholders, in particular for our host country, host communities, and of course our shareholders, and then we'll conclude with a few additional thoughts. So for those of you who aren't aware about Perseus, so we're an African-focused mid-tier Australian gold company. We operate now in 3 different countries. We have mines in Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, 3 mines in Cote d'Ivoire. We're producing around 500,000 ounces of gold per year and doing that at a fairly healthy cost of $950 an ounce. We announced our results this morning, very strong financial results, and it's pretty indicative that we have a very strong balance sheet, earnings and cash flow to support our future activities. One of the important aspects of our business, I think, that does set us apart from some of our peers is that we do have a very strong social licence to operate in Africa based on very, very sound ESG principles. And in that respect, what we do is that we listen very carefully to our hosts, and we work collaboratively with both the governments and the communities to develop a genuine win-win situation, and we find that has stood us in very good stead in the countries where we've operated. And of course that's overseen by a very experienced board and management team that's very well represented in the audience today. Thank you for coming and filling up the chairs, folks. It looks like quite a crowd. Anyway, just a little more about us as a company. We have, as I say, we're operating in the 2 countries at the moment and about to be developing in Sudan. We have about our reserve base in total, resource reserve base is around 8 million ounces in resource and 6 million ounces in reserve. If you were to add all these numbers up, which I'm not allowed to do, but I'm sure you could do that. So we are a reasonable sized company. Now, in terms of our production and the like, so this year we've produced close to 500,000 ounces, as I said, at a fairly healthy cost. We are very well positioned for the future, and that's supported by a very strong financial performance, which, as I said, was announced to the market this morning. You can see from this slide that our revenue has grown. Our earnings are up around 100%. At about 18-19 cents a share. Our cash flows are very, very strong, and we've implemented a dividend policy which this year has delivered our shareholders a 1.5% yield. So Perseus is in a very strong position financially, and the importance of that particular point is that we are extremely well positioned to fund our future growth into countries such as Sudan, and we can do that without coming under too much stress or having to rely on capital markets to achieve what we're seeking to do. Now, turning to Sudan and Block 14 project, you have heard from the Minister, some of the aspects of Sudan, but allow me to share with you an investor's perspective on the country. From our perspective, it's very clear. Sudan is a very highly prospective, underexplored country, a very, very attractive and prolific mineral province. It is indeed, as the Minister said, one of the largest producers of gold in Africa. In fact, I believe that it may rank as number 5, albeit a lot of that gold is produced by the artisanal, informal sector as opposed to the formal mining sector. The country itself is very much in a state of emergence. It's transitioning to a form of democracy that I think will be certainly attractive to foreign investors going forward. And to aid that position, it's quite clear that under the guidance of the Minister, some new investment laws have been put in place specifically to attract foreign capital to the country. And I have to say that the support that we as a company, as a new entrant to the country, have received from this Minister here and from the Finance Ministry has been excellent, and we're looking forward to a long and mutually beneficial relationship as this goes forward. Now, in terms of the project and the like, the Block 14 project, this was previously owned by Orca Gold. Now, just to put it in perspective geographically, it's about 75 kilometres south of the border with Egypt, not terribly far away from the Sakari mine that's owned by Quarterman, which I believe a number of people in the audience would know very well. You can see from this, the picture that's up there, the map, that the Arabian Shield is very, very prolific, and there's a large number of mining operations there. Less so on the other side of the Red Sea. However, that doesn't mean to say that from a mineralogical perspective it's not as prolific. It is indeed, we believe, and from this position, we believe that we are in an excellent position to enjoy a first mover advantage. The project itself is fully permitted. We have a very good mining lease royalty agreement, water permit negotiated and in place. The terms were negotiated with the government recently, and I think that they are certainly designed to attract foreign investment. A feasibility study was done by the original owners, Orca Gold. That was done back in 2020, and indeed what they have identified is a reserve around 2.85 million ounces. Now, we believe that there is enormous potential to expand that quite considerably, and we will be doing that in the very near future, starting to work on drilling that deposit out, and also commencing front-end engineering and design in conjunction with Lycopodium, a Perth-based engineering firm, with the aim of making a final decision around investing in this project in the second half of next year. Now, I should say that indeed, the Minister mentioned that we're producing 20,000 ounces a year. I should actually correct that. It will be actually closer to 200,000 ounces a year. So indeed, it is actually going to be a very large mining operation as we go forward. So what we're aiming to do in order to create value is this. It is a very exciting project for us, not only for Perseus, but also for all of our stakeholders. And I remind you that our stakeholders include our host country, our host communities, employees, suppliers of goods and services, and of course our financiers, both debt and equity. And they will all benefit from the work that Perseus is about to do. What we are seeking to do is to establish a world-class commercial mining operation in Sudan. It'll be a fully self-sufficient mine. It'll have processing plant, it'll have power, water, accommodation, fuel depots, etc., and it'll be built in a fairly remote part of the world. As I said, something like 75 kilometres south of the border with Egypt in the Sahara Desert. And we will do that in what we call the Perseus way. And by that, I would just make the point that this is the way that we've done business in West Africa. We take great pains to maximise the amount of local procurement we do. And you can see from this slide that about 81% of our procurement does take place in the countries that we operate. And we see no difference when we go to Sudan. We've been pleasantly surprised by the capacity in the country, and we believe that we'll be able to purchase a lot of the goods and services that we need in country. In addition to that, the way that we go about our business is that we try to employ as many local people as we can possibly do. And if you look across our business as it stands today, about 96% of our employees in Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire are in fact local people, with only 4% expatriates. So in terms of the specifics into Sudan, so our investment next year is likely to be in the order of $450 million. As I say, we'll be procuring locally, we'll be employing locally, training people, upskilling people. We'll be paying royalties to the Sudanese government of around 7%. We'll be paying dividends to our shareholders, who include both the Sudanese government and a local company. We have a tax holiday for 5 years. However, after that, our corporate tax rate runs at 15%, payroll taxes, etc., etc. Now, in addition to that, we will be obviously working with our local community, training people, helping them with infrastructure, etc., etc., providing opportunities for employment, and that should, in effect, create quite a lot of wealth into the community through our activities. I guess the very strong message that we would like to leave with this forum is that Sudan is open to international investment and ready to receive people who are willing to operate in the country. Now, in terms of our stakeholders, specific stakeholders, our shareholders indeed, what does it do for them? Well, the Block 14 project is important for Perseus as it adds a fourth string to our bow, so to speak. As I said, we have 3 operations at the present time. This will be our 4th, and by coming to another country, it actually provides us with a spread of risk across the African continent to deal with the ups and downs. Now, we believe that there is tremendous potential to increase the size of the reserve inventory, and indeed to build a mine life that will extend for at least 13 or 14 years. And as I said earlier on, by coming to Sudan now, we hope to be able to experience some first mover advantage, learn how to operate in the country, and hopefully be able to extend our activities to other mining opportunities as they occur. And by doing this, I think that this will go a long way towards helping us to achieve our fundamental mission, which is to generate benefits for all of our stakeholders. So in closing, let me just say this, that Sudan has been largely overlooked by Western mining companies as a place to invest for many, many years. But I believe that this is changing. The Minister mentioned that there are people from a number of nationalities already in country, but not in the sort of scale that we're intending to do. And we believe that if we can be successful in the development that we're proposing to do, that there will be a steady flow of other people of a similar mindset to ourselves who will be coming to Sudan. Sudan itself is located at the crossroads of the African and the Arab worlds, and with this does come some challenges, particularly in terms of cultural differences and geopolitical issues. But we strongly believe that the potential rewards far outweigh the risks. And Perseus is in going to Sudan is very much willing to go the distance and to be able to achieve those benefits in time to come. We believe that, in terms of risk diversification, this is an outstanding location for our next large-scale project. And we're looking forward very much to working very collaboratively with the government, in particular the Minister, and unlocking very significant value for all of our shareholders and stakeholders. So thank you very much.